My character Fredrik is a lawyer who's going through a bit of a midlife crisis. He's currently married to an 18-year-old virgin. So when he comes across a former flame, well, let's just say, he's got other things on his mind.
Desiree is an actress who has been very famous, and her star is slightly in decline, perhaps due to her age. Not so easy to cast these days.
Well, I auditioned for the role of Charlotte Olafsson because I've always loved the show, A Little Night Music, and I've worked on a production in which Pamela Rabe played the role beautifully, and always found it the funniest role in the show. Why do I let him treat me like an intimidated corporal in his regiment? Why? I auditioned for Fab Nobs because I'm a bit of a Fab Nobs family member. It's always a wonderful experience to work with them, and I love the ensemble shows that they do, so that's always a good reason to come and audition for Fab Nobs.
I suppose something different about this version of the show is that musically we have very limited space here at Fab Nobs back in the band room, so we've decided to go for a very cut down version of the orchestration, which I've been re-orchestrating over the past few months, taking it down from 16 or 17 piece massive band with, you know, the full horns, woodwind, there's harp and like pitched percussion and everything, about to a piano and a string quartet.
The reason that I auditioned for A Little Night Music, I found out they were doing it. I love the show, it's beautiful, and Anne is a character that jumped out to me straight away. She's so much fun to play, she's vibrant, very naive, but innocent, hilarious. She's full of everything. She's got beautiful soprano songs that she gets to sing, so it's great fun. And I haven't worked with Fab Nobs before, and it's been so wonderful so far. It's just a lovely little company.
I'm playing Count Carl Magnus, who is married to Charlotte, but is having an affair. It was not really a secret affair. His mistress is Desiree, the main character. The whole thing about Carl Magnus is the fact that he does this. He just has a wife, and he has a bit on the side, and it's all fine, and it's his God-given right, because he is just a glorious man, and that's just what glorious men do.
You're a good wife, Charlotte. The best.
That's a comforting thought to take with me to town, dear. May just keep me from cutting my throat on the tram.
I think the character's probably not one that I would like if he were a real person. I would want to hit him a few times, and I guess that's why I really enjoy playing him, because it's not a lifestyle that I would choose, and he's just a horrid man, but he's a wonderful character because he's very funny. And the reason why he's funny is because he does and says things that people just don't get away with.
I actually chose to audition for Little Night Music before I knew that Fab Nobs was even doing it. I saw it with Bernadette Peters last October, and I just loved the show ridiculously. It was my first Sondheim show I'd ever seen.
I think the audience will enjoy the more intimate setting. This production is less about lavish sets and concentrating on the piece itself, the music. There's a very clever dialogue in it, so I think the audience will get to enjoy that.
So the first way I got into doing A Little Night Music was when I was about in year 8, maybe. I did a production of Follies by Stephen Sondheim, and that's when I first discovered his music. So by the time I hit 15, I discovered Now Soon Later, the trio from Little Night Music, and I just always loved the score, and I loved the show, and as a nerd you do all your research. And then a couple of years ago when I was in London, I was really lucky to see a really small production of it at the Matjacic Factory, which eventually ended up on the Broadway stage. And this factory only sat about 50, 60 people. I had to line up for 3 days straight, trying to get someone's throwback ticket. And finally when I went in, it was the most beautiful, magical piece I'd ever seen before.
Well, that's actually what excites me the most. Is I've seen Little Night Music done a couple of times, maybe 3 times before, always with extremely elaborate sets, massive orchestra and all the rest of it. I'm a huge fan of things done minimally and done cleverly on a small budget, and that's what this is.
I'm playing Petra, who is Anne's maid, so she lives in the Eagerman household with Anne and Fredrik and Henrik when he's home, who she likes to tease a lot. So Petra is not very concerned with how society believes a maid should behave. She's rather free and a little bit promiscuous, and is intent on making the most out of life.
What's different about this version of A Little Night Music is that it's been stripped back to its bones, and that's not only just the dialogue but the music as well. It's actually orchestrated quite a large orchestra. It's been stripped back to a string quartet. Lucy's done an amazing job. She's worked very, very hard, not just having to deal with us, but having to re-orchestrate the whole show.
My personal highlight is, of course, Send in the Clowns is one of those iconic songs that I'm very, very lucky to be cast in the role where you actually get to sing that song in context. It's a really beautiful piece, and the way that it sits in the context of the show is quite affecting. But I think the overall highlight is the ensemble work that happens and the incredible sound that happens when the entire ensemble sing together. It's not a large cast, but every person is so pivotal to it that in those big ensemble numbers you really feel the impact, particularly in a small factory. So I think people we can expect to see some really lovely vocal work, but it's the characters behind it that actually drive that to have the maximum impact.